my main aim is to kind of shine a light on things that are not so widely spoken about, if you know what I mean. So I
Yeah.
concentrate if I can on lesser known artists, and what you've done and what, it's I think it's a huge deal, and I'm really sorry you didn't win the award on Thursday, but
Oh,
I think even being nominated is it's a huge deal, isn't it?
yeah, it was awesome to be nominated in that category. Like we all did well,
Hmm.
but yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask what your relation to music is, first of all. I know, you perform in a way, you play bass and guitar. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So how did that all start? Is that something that you want to do in the future? Is it like your main thing at the moment, or what's your relation to it?
Oh, I 100% want to make a career out of music. But the way it started is I sort of just got bored at school, so I decided to take guitar lessons, and that stopped, and it moved into like a school rock band, and we played a Green Day song, and it just sort of just went from there.
Okay, so Green Day, and also I saw some other covers that you did. So there's a lot of like this kind of garage rock, surf punk, and is that the genre that's kind of your favorite one, or is it just a coincidence?
Yeah, sort of like Aussie rock sort of
Yeah,
stuff, but mainly play like old rock for all the old people at the markets.
yeah. So this is where we can shake hands, because I'm a kind of a different generation than you. I'm a bit older, but I'm a rock girl, if you know what I mean, as well. So I was happy to see that connection in a way, like between
Yeah,
playing as well. Cool. And tell me about that band that you managed. Is it Delanore's?
yeah,
Yeah,
the Illinois.
yeah.
So they're Sydney-based band. They're only I wouldn't say starting out. They released their debut album in January, and they're still a little small, but they got a big gig coming up on the 5th of November. They're playing with the New South Wales,
Hmm.
so that's pretty cool. They're pretty stoked about that. I sort of picked them up through the fundraiser.
Okay. So
So
you're the manager at the moment.
yeah,
Okay, cool. How did you manage, or how do you manage that? Since are they based out of Sydney?
yeah. So
So
they're
you
in
do,
Sydney, and I'm in Ipswich.
so you do everything remotely.
Yeah. So we will have a chat every so often, and when we're talking in group chat, when we have FaceTime calls, we sort of just write down what gigs we're going to book and how we're going to promote it, what we're going to do to promote everything else that's going on.
So I think you mentioned that side of the music business, you actually kind of, it's the one that you prefer. So do you think you're going to go more for perhaps being a musician in the future, or managing bands, or you don't know yet?
More than likely both. I'd more than like James Tidswell from Violent Soho. Violent Soho is a massive band in Brisbane, and he he's part of a record label he owns, Domestic La La, and they have some big names on there. So if he can do that and be in a band, I don't see why I can't be in a band and manage a band.
Sure. Do you perform at the Ipswich Market? Is it? Yeah,
Yeah,
have I seen that correctly? Cool.
yeah.
So you do a bit of busking, or how does that work?
So I haven't been busking for a while, mainly. I work at Coles, so I've been doing like early mornings on Sundays. But yeah, it's an awesome market. You got lots of heaps of like secondhand stuff that's really cool.
Mhm.
You got lots of nice people and generous people that chuck dollars in your bucket. But no, it's a pretty good market. But I've played out of Ipswich, so I've been at Toowoomba a couple of times,
Mhm.
and a couple like only local ones after that, really.
So do you play your own music, or do you do covers mostly?
I mostly do covers. I've only recently gotten to a originals band.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I'm pretty stoked on that.
Yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to hearing how your career develops in the future. Who knows? You might be the one actually donating the guitar next time. So
Yeah.
it would be awesome. So I've read about the fundraiser a bit and how it all, kind of started, but could you tell me a bit about it yourself? Like how you got inspired, and, what the difficulties were, and basically how you went about it?
Yeah, so basically, when COVID was at its peak here, um, I saw how fast the music industry like hit the ground, and it was pretty phenomenal. So I'm like, well, I gotta do something. So I hit up I started actually called a bunch of local music shops to see if they'd give me a guitar. And there's one it sucks. I can't remember the name of them, but they sent me the Fender, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try them. I had no hope of getting a free guitar from Fender, and
I know.
yeah, it's pretty huge.
It is.
So when they said, oh, yeah, we'll do this for you, I'm like, crap. Yeah, so Heath, such a great guy, so generous, so heartwarming. Donated a Jimi Hendrix style Stratocaster that retails at $2,000. So I was pretty stoked that we got that. And from there, we sort of just didn't stop driving. We got signature after signature. And then I was like, we can get a couple more prizes. So we started hitting up bands like Amity Affliction, Courtney Barnett, Luca Brasi, the Lenores for signed merchandise. And we got about $3,000 worth of signed merchandise. And yeah, it's pretty cool. When we got the guitar signed, the first signature I got was Simon from DZ Death Race. And when we showed up, we went from Simon, and he went, the drummer from June Rats lives up the road. So we drove Simon up the road, and then he goes, the drummer from Violent Soho is coming over. So we got 3 bands two of them we didn't have any connections with, all in one, the first go.
Cool. I'm actually quite jealous, to be honest, because you met some of the musicians that are my favorite ones as well, like Bernard Fanning from Powderfinger. It's like I would, literally, I would kill to get his signature on anything, not on the guitar. So how was that meeting him? Because, you're a pretty young generation, but I'm pretty sure that, Powderfinger they're legends, like basically no matter what the generation, So how was meeting Bernard? Did you get starstruck, for example?
Oh yeah, it was surprisingly, it was super easy to get Powderfinger. Like, we sent heaps of emails off, and it took forever to get a response, and then we basically kept getting like a no, or we didn't get a response at all. And we looked up Ian, the guitarist, from Powderfinger. And, his email and numbers just on a website that's at a recording studio, because he owns Airlock Studios up at Mount Cootha. And we're like, so we emailed him, and he was like, yeah, I'll do that. And he got the bassist involved as well. And then he sent an email off to the drummer, and I'm like, I reckon you can get us Bernard Fanning? And like jokingly, and he goes, yeah. So Bernard Fanning sends me an email and gives me his number, and we're off to Byron in a couple of days. And when I met him, he's the nicest guy you will ever meet. He is so nice. You can have a conversation with him forever.
I am so jealous, Lucas. You cannot even imagine how much, but I'm really glad that you had this experience so early on as well.
It's an experience I won't forget.
Totally. So I can see that the bands were pretty they got behind it very quickly. So it didn't get much of convincing, I suppose, but it's just amazing for me to see how it kind of snowballed, from like a small fundraiser, like you started getting all these people on board. Was it always you connecting with them or like reaching out to them, or did they start coming to you as well once they found out about the fundraiser?
We actually didn't, no bands actually contacted us. We always contacted them. So on the first fly, it was like 5 bands, and then it was 11 bands, and it was 15, 26, and then it came into like 30 something bands and 25 musicians. So it's pretty cool. It would have been even better if someone contacted us.
Yeah, totally.
That would have helped.
Yeah, Lucas, I'm sure next time you do something like that, people will be like phoning you if they want to participate. I'm actually pretty sure about that. Going back to the merch, you mentioned that the guitar was the biggest one, right? So it was the number one prize for the raffle, and there was some other merch. Can you mention a few other items that were maybe like worth mentioning or interesting in a way?
Yeah. So Carnival, they gave us 2 free tickets to a concert. So we gave that in the first prize pack. Amity Affliction sent us tour posters signed by every member, and EP, I'm pretty sure. And Luca Brasi, they sent us this was pretty cool. It's my favorite piece. It was a tattoo design They got
Yeah.
commissioned. It was signed by everyone, and I wanted to keep that so bad. It was devastating sending it off. But
Yeah.
no, all the bands were generous enough to send up some pretty cool stuff. Like Bad Dreams sent us one of their footballs.
Oh, wow.
It was like a bad. It was pretty cool. And
Yeah.
Hockey Dad, well, it was like 11 shirts.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
When I got a box, I'm like, oh, okay, a couple bands are in there. I pulled out Hockey Dad, Hockey Dad, Hockey Dad, Hockey Dad. It was insane.
Cool. So it was, I suppose, a bit more than you expected at the beginning. So did you work on it yourself, or did you get anyone else involved from either family or friends?
Oh, so yeah, from the start, it was sort of, I was like, this will be easy. It'll be piece of cake. Then all the legal stuff and laws came in. So I'm like, mum and dad can help me, and they can help me promote. They can help me get some more people in. And so it was basically just me, mum, and dad that got all this done.
Cool. I'm pretty sure your parents must have been stoked as well, because as far as I can see from your posts on socials, they're big music fans as well. At least your dad is. So
Yeah, we're constant concert goers. Mum and dad are actually at Sandstone Point seeing Bernard Fanning tonight.
no. Oh. Yeah. Well.
Don't worry. They've been to 4 concerts, and I'm so jealous that I can't go to one. I'm
Yeah. And
dying for one. My next I think play next year.
okay. So do you guys normally go to gigs together, or not really?
Yeah, most gigs we do go as a family. It depends on some. I might go with a mate, or me and mum might go to a under 18s gig or something.
Uh-huh.
So mainly as a family, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool that you have these special gigs that are for, people who haven't turned 18 yet. So what's the first gig you've ever seen?
Oh wow.
Well, I'm asking because to me you're fairly young still, but I know people
Yeah.
in Australia start a bit younger. Yeah, but let's see what the first one was.
I think the first ever concert I went to, I think I was 12, and it was Green Day on their Revolution Radio tour.
Well, you started big, man. You started big. I
Yeah,
thought it was gonna
I
be some
started.
local one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Going back to the fundraiser and what you mentioned about the legal stuff being a bit of an obstacle. And I saw an interview that you did the other day, and you mentioned that you had problems, and the legal was basically related to not being able to roll it out in the whole of Australia. Correct?
yeah. So the gambling laws over here are quite strict. There's lots of scams that go around. So I couldn't sell tickets in Western Australia, the ACT, and the Northern Territory, mainly because of strict gambling laws.
Yeah.
And we want to spend another half a year trying to get around that and spend more money on licenses that would take out of the money for the fundraiser to get back. So I was like, let's just leave, as much as it sucked, let's just leave them, and then we can give it to the rest of Australia.
Okay.
It was pretty cool because we had people from Italy and London seeing this going on, and they were quite upset that they couldn't buy any tickets.
Yeah, had I known that, I would have wanted to participate as well, So you probably might have to figure this out for next time. If you need any help getting legal started in Europe, give me a shout. Maybe we can work together. I'm sure people would be interested.
Yeah, will do.
Support Act. So was this fundraiser always going to be directed at that particular, let's say, mental health charity related to music, or did you start the fundraiser and then have the idea to connect with Support Act?
Well, actually, with that one, I had no clue what charity I was going to donate to, and I was talking to musicians I just sent them this idea, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll get behind that with you." And I said, "Any suggestions on charities?" And most of them mentioned Support Act, so I had a look up, and it was exactly what I was looking for. So, music industry, mental health, and support and everything.
Cool.
But my next would have to be men's mental health. That's the next one I'm going for.
Oh, okay. That's interesting and good on you. And so let's go a bit to the nomination for the Done Good Award, the J Award. Yeah. How Triple J interviewed you as well about the fundraiser, as far as I remember, correct?
So yeah, one of their reporters called me, and they just typed everything as we spoke and did an article about it. So that was pretty cool. I was pretty stoked because he just called me in the middle of class, and I just walked out and said, "Oh, I had a phone call."
Sorry, teacher, I'm a star. I need to give an interview now, right? Kind of.
That's basically it.
And so how did you find out that you got nominated for the award then? Did they call you up or did you find out from the paper or like from the social media post?
So I was getting ready. I woke up getting ready for school, and I hear an email go off on my phone. I'm like, oh, it's probably going to be spam. So I left it, and I read it, and I'm like, congratulations, you've been nominated for a J Award. I'm like, oh, crap. So I'm freaking out. I run to dad and say, I just got nominated for a J Award. And it was like the best feeling I ever got. I thought everyone just forgot about the fundraiser until then.
Yeah, well, I don't think they forget. I think that award is actually very needed because, you know, the music industry also have some allies, if I may say so, you know, outside the business, strictly speaking. So it's good to see people like you doing good stuff for the musicians as well. So once again, congratulations. And I hope that in the future, you're actually going to get the award because I'm sure you're going to do great things as well.
Yeah.
One thing that you mentioned in one of the interviews was that from your perspective, the fundraiser helped the bands, like the lesser known ones, to get some more exposure, right? So
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of flip the script a bit and ask whether you perhaps have become a bit more famous since this whole thing started.
Oh, not really. No one's come up to me and said, "Oh, you're that kid that did the fundraiser." One day will happen.
Okay.
But I've kept a lot of sort of made a bunch of more friendships with local Brizzy musicians and talking to some like Lenores and some Sydney-based bands. So it was pretty cool. So I made them friendships, but no one's come up to me yet and said, "Oh, can I get a photo?" It's gonna happen one day.
Yeah, it's funny because I connected with a guy from an independent record label that is called 4000 Records, based in Brizzy, and we did an extensive kind of interview as well on the Brizzy music scene. And do you have any thoughts on that? Like how it could maybe do something to not to say compete with Melbourne, because obviously you know the more variety we have, the better it is. But do you think there is anything that Brizzy music scene has that the others don't, and it's like a defining and a cool part about it?
Yeah, so all different states have their own music scene. Melbourne is obviously the biggest. I reckon the one thing that Brisbane has that Melbourne doesn't is we all know each other. Like we're all a big family. Melbourne, they're sort of just correct me if I'm wrong, but they're sort of just secluded to themselves sometimes and don't really talk much. But we're all a big family. Everyone knows each other in the music industry up here.
Yeah, and I guess it's important because then you can all support each other when the time comes, you know, and like in COVID times as well. So yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So what are your ambitions in music?
My
If it's not a
ambitions.
secret.
So, in a year's time or maybe a year and a half out, my band hopefully wants to start gigging. We
Okay.
can get enough demos and stuff done. But yeah, I'd make 100% decision in a click of a fingers to make a full-time career out of music.
So what do your parents say about it? Because, you know, parents are always very cautious when it comes to artists and musicians. They're not sure whether that's a proper job.
I mean, my mum and dad, they're pretty keen. They don't really care if I get a job in a trade or music, as long as I get a job. But we've seen that it can lead to a full-time job. Like Wax, they participated in the fundraiser as well, and we've seen them many times. They're a great band.
Mm-hmm.
They work at a bottle shop and a servo, so they're still full-time musicians, but they still have part-time jobs. So even if I do that, I'd still love to do it. So they don't really mind.
Okay, cool. So thank you very much once again for connecting, and I'll be in touch with you. And once again, I'm very impressed by what you do at this age already. And I wish you good luck, and I'll keep my fingers crossed for anything that happens musically in the future for you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
No problem. Cheers. Have a good
See you
one.
later.
Bye.